Hello and welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep. Welcome to the daily quiz discussion for the 19th of October 2022. Before we begin, a gentle reminder that BYJU'S Exam Prep is back with the big news initiative. Under this series, important developments of the day are taken up for discussion, and these videos go live on our YouTube channel at 2 p.m. daily. You can find the link in the description box below. Also note, the 90th episode of the International Relations this week would be available on our YouTube channel at 8 p.m. today. Do catch us on our YouTube channel. Beginning with the first question of the day. It reads, consider the following statements with respect to global arms import and exports. There are three question statements given here. The first one reads, India has been the largest importer of arms from 2017 to 2021. The second statement reads, India accounts for over 25% of the total global arms import. And the third statement reads, Russia was the largest global arms exporter in the period spanning 2017 to 2021. How many of the above statements is or are correct? Please have a look at the options given. What is the context? This article in today's The Indian Express takes note of India's global arms trade, both in terms of import as well as exports. The article notes India's huge dependency on arms imports in the previous years and the improving scenario in recent times. The article notes that India had been the largest importer of arms from 2017 to 2021. This is based on the Trends in International Arms Transfer 2021 report released by the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute or SIPRI. Notably, however, the value of imports in this period, that is 2017 to 2021, has decreased as compared to the 2011-16 time period. Note, India accounted for around 11% of the global arms import. The article notes that the efforts being undertaken by the current administration towards indigenization in the defense sector has not only helped India decrease its import dependency but has also given a boost to export of arms from India. The arms export is not only helping India find business in the global arms trade but is also helping India gain strategic influence among its partner countries. Coming back to the question. The first statement is correct. However, the second statement is wrong because India does not account for over 25%, it is around 11%. Also note, Russia is not the largest global arms exporter. In fact, it is the US. Note, for India, Russia followed by France and the US are the three largest arms exporters. Since the question asks for the correct statements and since only one statement is correct, the answer becomes A, one statement only. Moving on to the second question. The question reads, consider the following statements about Global Astrometric Interferometer for Astrophysics spacecraft. The two question statements are as follows. It is a space observatory of NASA. And the second statement reads, the mission aims to construct by far the largest and most precise three-dimensional map of our galaxy, including stars, planets, comets, asteroids, and quasars, among others. Which of the above statements is or are correct? Please have a look at the options given. Now, what is the context? This article from today's The Hindu takes note of the contributions of both the Global Astrometric Interferometer for Astrophysics spacecraft as well as the Hubble Space Telescope in the domain of astronomy. It discusses how these telescopes have helped understand the cosmic events better. Coming back to the question. The first statement is wrong because the GAIA spacecraft is not a space observatory of NASA, but it is that of the ESA or the European Space Agency. It was launched in the year 2013 and is expected to operate until 2025. Note, the spacecraft is designed for astrometry. That is, it will help measure the positions, distance, and motions of stars with unprecedented precision. These observations will help construct the 3D space catalog of around 1 billion astronomical objects, including stars, planets, comets, asteroids, and quasars, among others. These measurements will provide detailed physical properties of these astronomical bodies, including characters such as luminosity, temperature, gravity, as well as elemental composition. This will help answer a wide range of important questions related to the origin, structure, and evolutionary history of the Milky Way galaxy. Hence, the second statement is correct. Since the question asks for the correct statement, the answer to this question would be option B, 2 only. Moving on to the third question. It reads, India's National Maritime Heritage Complex is being set up in which of the following states? The options are as follows. Option A, Tamil Nadu. Option B, Maharashtra. Option C, West Bengal. And option D, Gujarat. Now, what is the context? This article from the PIB takes note of the Indian Prime Minister reviewing the progress of National Maritime Heritage Complex coming up at Lothal, Gujarat. The National Maritime Heritage Complex is being developed by the Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways in collaboration with the government of Gujarat. One of the unique features of the National Maritime Heritage Complex would be the recreation of the ancient Lothal city. This was one of the prominent cities of the ancient Indus Valley civilization dating to around 2400 BC. The archaeological excavations at Lothal have discovered the oldest man-made dockyard over 5000 years old. Hence, Lothal represents the maritime heritage of our country. Note, the National Maritime Heritage Complex will showcase India's rich and diverse maritime heritage. This will help develop Lothal as a world-class international tourist destination, the first of its kind in the entire country. Coming back to the question, from our discussion, it becomes clear that the answer to this question is option D, Gujarat. Moving on to the fourth question. It reads, consider the following statements about global carbon cycle. The two question statements are as follows. Statement 1. Soil contains more carbon than all plants and the atmosphere combined. Statement 2. Depending on the soil conditions, nitrogen can either stabilize or destabilize the soil carbon pool. Which of the above statements is or are correct? Please have a look at the options given. What is the context? This article from today's The Hindu takes note of a study carried out by researchers at the Center for Ecological Sciences and the Divecha Center for Climate Change at Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru. The study notes that the grazing animals hold the key to long-term soil carbon stability. The global carbon cycle involves exchanges of carbon within and between four major reservoirs, including the atmosphere, oceans, land, and fossil fuels. Carbon is exchanged between these four major reservoirs. Among these four major reservoirs, land accounts for the largest carbon pool, and among land, the stones or rocks account for the maximum percentage. In the context of global warming and climate change, which are chiefly attributable to the increasing concentration of carbon in the atmosphere, soil carbon stability becomes a very important aspect. The study notes the role of grazing animals in the stabilization of this soil carbon. The study takes note of the role of nitrogen in ensuring soil carbon stability. Depending on the soil conditions, nitrogen can either stabilize or destabilize the carbon pool. With this understanding, let's get back to the question. From our discussion, it becomes clear that both the statements are correct and hence the answer to this question would be option C, both 1 and 2. Moving on to the fifth question of the day. This is a question from the UPSC 2019 Prelims paper. The question reads, consider the following statements. There are three question statements given here. The first one reads, in the revenue administration of Delhi Sultanate, the in charge of revenue collection was known as Amil. The second statement reads, the Ikta system of Sultans of Delhi was an ancient indigenous institution. And the third statement reads, the office of Mir Bakshi came into existence during the reign of Khalji Sultans of Delhi. The first statement is correct. However, the second statement is wrong. Why? Because the Ikta system, under which the land of the empire was divided into several large and small tracts called Ikta and assigned to soldiers, officers, and nobles, was not an ancient indigenous institution. This system was originally adopted in the Central Asian and West Asian regions, and it was later introduced in India by the Delhi Sultans. Consider the third statement. This statement is wrong. Why? Mir Bakshi, who was the head of the military department, did not exist during the reign of the Khalji Sultans. It evolved during the Mughal rule. Since the question asks for the correct statements, the answer to this question would be option A, one only. Moving on to the fact of the day, light combat helicopter or Prachand. What is the context? This article from today's The Indian Express takes note of the induction of the indigenously developed and manufactured light combat helicopter, formerly named as Prachand, into both the Indian Army as well as the Indian Air Force. Note, these helicopters have been designed and developed by Hindustan Aeronautical Limited. Currently, the LCH has around 45% indigenous content by value, and this number would be progressively increased to 55% in the upcoming series variants. Notably, the LCH possesses contemporary military technologies and systems, and it has been customized to operate both in desert and high altitude regions. Notably, the LCH Prachand is the only attack helicopter in the world to land and take off at an altitude of around 5,000 meters in the Siachen Glacier. The helicopter has potent ground attack as well as aerial combat capabilities. This can be used to perform roles of combat, search and rescue, as well as destruction of enemy air defense, counter-insurgency operations, etc. Notably, these LCH are fitted with the anti-tank guided missile Dhruvastra as well as the air-to-air missile Mistral 2. This is all we have for today's discussion. Thank you for being with us.